Part 1. The Encounter. The hum of my ship echoed through the quiet of the cold galaxy as I sped toward the abandoned mining station on Zaloris 4. I was just a pilot, trying to make a living in a universe filled with danger and opportunities. My job was simple: deliver cargo, dodge trouble, and stay out of the way. But nothing ever went according to plan. When I arrived at the mining station, I had no idea what awaited me. As I docked the ship and stepped into the dimly lit corridor, I heard a noise, a soft sound barely noticeable. At first, I thought it was just the station's malfunctioning equipment, but then I heard it again. A step. And then a voice unlike anything I had ever heard before. "Help me!" I froze, my heart pounding. The voice was strange, yet filled with desperation. Without thinking, I followed the sound, my hand instinctively going to the blaster at my side. As I turned the corner, I saw her. She was crouched in a small, dark corner, her hands bound and a look of terror in her eyes. She was unlike anyone I had ever seen, tall and slender, with pale skin that shimmered faintly in the dim light. Her eyes were the color of the stars themselves, glowing with an otherworldly light. She looked fragile, yet there was something about her that made me feel like I was staring at something ancient and powerful. "Are you okay?" I asked, my voice soft, trying not to startle her. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with both fear and hope. "Please, I need help. They are coming for me." I didn't ask who they were or why she was there. I just knew I couldn't leave her behind. I cut the bonds that held her wrists, and as she stood, she looked at me with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered. "My name is Lira." "I'm Marcus," I replied, scanning the dark corridor. "We need to get out of here. Now." Part 2. The Pursuit. We barely made it out of the station before the first of the enemy ships arrived. I didn't know who they were or what they wanted with Lira, but their intentions were clear. They were there to take her, and they weren't going to let anyone stand in their way. We made it to my ship, and I quickly helped her aboard. I punched in the coordinates for a nearby asteroid belt, hoping to lose the pursuers in the debris. But the enemy ships were faster and more maneuverable. They closed in on us quickly. "Hang on!" I yelled as I took the controls, dodging blasts from their weapons and weaving through the rocks. The ship shook as an enemy laser grazed the hull, but I kept us on course, my hands steady on the controls. Lira was quiet, gripping the seat tightly. She didn't say a word, but I could feel her eyes on me. She was scared, but she wasn't giving up. "You're doing great," she said softly, as if she were trying to reassure me. I didn't have time to answer. I focused all my attention on outrunning our pursuers, navigating the asteroid field with expert precision. Every twist and turn was a risk, but it was the only chance we had. Eventually, we made it to the outskirts of the asteroid belt, where the enemy ships had trouble following us. They were too large to navigate the narrow gaps between the asteroids, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I allowed myself to relax. We had made it for now. Part 3. The Reward. After hours of flying through the dark emptiness of space, I set the ship down on a secluded moon. The surface was barren, covered in dust and rocks, a perfect place to hide for a while. We both needed rest. I helped Lira out of the ship and into a small cave I had found earlier. We set up a makeshift camp and took a moment to catch our breath. As I sat across from her, I couldn't help but notice the strange aura she had about her. Her beauty, her strength, and something else I couldn't quite put my finger on. "Thank you," she said again, this time more softly. "I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't come for me." I waved it off, not wanting to make it a big deal. "It's nothing. I couldn't just leave you behind." She studied me for a long moment before speaking again. "You don't know what you've done, Marcus." "What do you mean?" I asked, confused. She stood up slowly and walked to the edge of the cave, looking out at the vast expanse of space. You've saved me. But what you don't know is that I'm not just any ordinary person. I am from a race of beings known as the Arcians, a civilization that once ruled over many worlds. Our powers were immense, and we were respected, feared even by those who knew of us. I blinked in disbelief. Arcians. I've never heard of you. She smiled slightly, a sad, knowing smile. Not many have. My people have long since fallen. We were betrayed by a faction from within our own ranks, and now I am one of the last of my kind. I listened in silence as she continued. I've been on the run for years, hunted by those who want to use my powers for their own gain. The enemies who were after me, they knew what I could do, and they knew what you could do for me. They're part of a larger organization that wants to control my people's abilities. But you saved me, and now you are tied to something much bigger than you realize. I frowned. I'm just a pilot. I'm no hero. You are now, she said softly, turning to face me. You're the one who has given me a chance to survive, to fight back. And for that, I owe you more than you could possibly imagine. I stood up, confused and unsure of what she meant. What do you mean, Lira? She closed the distance between us in a few swift steps, and before I could react, she placed her hand on my chest, her touch warm and gentle. What I mean, Marcus, is that I'm offering you a choice. You helped me, saved me. And now I offer you the chance to join me. You can stay here, live in peace, or you can take what I offer and help me bring justice to my people. Help me fight back. I took a step back, processing her words. What are you asking of me? She smiled, and I could see the sincerity in her eyes. I am asking for your loyalty. I am asking you to stand with me. Together we can rebuild what was lost, fight the enemies who have plagued my people for so long. I am not asking for anything that you cannot give. I didn't need to think long. I'm in. I'll help you. Lira nodded, a look of gratitude in her eyes. Good. Because the reward for your loyalty will be greater than anything you can imagine. Not just for you, but for the universe itself. Part 4, The New Journey. As the days passed, I learned more about Lira and her people, the Arcians. Her powers were incredible, but so was the burden she carried. Together we began to plan our next steps, hunting down the remnants of the enemy faction and reclaiming lost territory. The work was dangerous, and we faced many obstacles along the way. But with every victory, I saw something change in Lira. The more we fought side by side, the more I realized that what had begun as a simple act of saving someone had turned into a lifelong mission. The reward was not just in helping her. It was in finding a purpose greater than anything I had ever known.